Ben Kentish on LBC.
5:49 is the time. Ben Kentish here in for Tom Swarbrick on LBC. Friday afternoon, coming up to 6 o'clock. You know what time it is. Time for Simon Mark's American Week.
Ben, this was another American week when chickens came home to roost for the country's president, now just 3 months from November's midterm elections. But worse than ever before, and the trajectory of his slide on this issue is now notably deepening, it was a week in which he was simply unable to stipulate to or even recognise reality.
It looked beautiful, and then they cut it, and they vandalized, and we weren't necessarily thrilled with the contractor, but they did a job, and they were fixing any problems.
President Donald Trump on Monday voicing yet again complete falsehoods about the Lincoln Memorial's reflecting pool and the botched renovation job that he orchestrated and that he put into the hands of his own trusted swimming pool guy via a no-bid contract. Now, I know what you're thinking. He can't find his way out of a war in Iran that is eating away at his presidency like a cancer. His approval ratings have cratered. Only this morning we learnt the US economy lost 23,000 jobs last month, even as the country's corporate behemoths are notching up record profits. Trump's fellow Republicans are freaking out, with every indication that sizable numbers of them in the House of Representatives and the Senate are going to be slung out by the voters in just 12 weeks' time. Yet he spent hours this week talking relentlessly about the reflecting pool and directing his fury at one of his own biggest supporters. US Attorney Jeanine Pirro, handpicked for the job because of the unstinting support for him that she had shown over many years as a presenter on Fox News. Her sin? She had to tell a judge 2 weeks ago that she was dropping charges against a 3-time Olympian canoeist falsely accused by Trump of vandalizing the reflecting pool because she had become aware that there was no evidence to support the charges, and in fact the damage was all done not by vandals but by Trump's contractor. I know. How can we even be talking about this? And yet, how can we not?
The judge was extremely unfriendly to Jeanine, and frankly, I think she choked because the judge was really vicious. Instead of going after the people that did it, the judge went after her and went after her department. And I guess she choked. I don't know what the hell happened.
Are you reconsidering her role?
I don't know what. You don't. You're fake news. Don't ever talk again. You're fake news. One of the worst in the business. Fortunately, nobody watches you. But something happened. There was vandalism there.
Come for the lies about the reflecting pool, stay for the ad hominem attack on yet another reporter. Oddly this time, a man who was not told by the president that he ought to smile more. Moments later, and to the surprise of nobody, the president insisted that he didn't even know the contractor. And yet, as CNN pointed out, that's not what Trump said earlier this year. First, you'll hear Donald Trump on Monday, then the president on April the 23rd.
And by the way, I didn't know the contractor. Everyone said the contractor. I didn't know the contractor. But when it was completed, it was perfect. I said, you know, Doug, I have a guy who's unbelievable at doing swimming pools. I'm going to send my contractor over and take a look. He looked at it. He called me up. He said, so we can do something on it.
Now, you might wonder why any of this matters, beyond the pretty serious fact that with each passing week, the president shows an ever-sliding grip on reality. While there's lots of mirth to be had in Trump's infantile efforts to avoid accepting that he messed up, there was another life at stake in all of this. David Hearn, the 3-time Olympian, looking at a possible 10-year jail sentence for vandalism if the president's literally trumped-up charges had been pursued to the point of a conviction. Mr. Hearn spoke last night for the first time since his arrest, and remember, he was facing the possibility of a decade in jail because Trump wanted someone arrested for vandalism, and the National Guard and the US Park Police snapped to attention and obliged.
It's very unsettling. It's not the United States of America that I know. It's not the United States of America that I've represented in many competitions overseas, including 3 Olympic Games, 13 World Championships. It's just not right. It has to be rejected.
He spoke there on CNN. His problems began when, like so many visitors to Washington, he decided to go and take a look at the reflecting pool and see what all the fuss was about. He noticed a piece of the new flooring floating to the surface, reached in and grabbed it, and the president's stormtroopers swooped.
This could happen to anybody. If it can happen to me, it could happen to anybody. Nobody's immune to this kind of government lawlessness, essentially. And it's really the kind of thing that you think a country ruled by a dictator, that's where you see that kind of thing. And this is not the land of the free and the home of the brave that I know.
Indeed, it is not. Take a look at what happened last night in the Oval Office, just 5 weeks after the US Supreme Court ruled that birthright citizenship, the right of any child born on US soil to be granted an American passport, is indeed constitutional, not least because it appears in the Constitution's 14th Amendment and you can read it in black and white. That is supposed to be the end of the affair. It's called the Supreme Court for a reason. But yesterday, the president's chief ideologue, Stephen Miller, joined him in the Oval Office for the signing of executive orders restricting birthright citizenship in a mad authoritarian effort to try and circumvent the court's ruling.
Birth tourism is by definition a fraud on the American system, on the American taxpayer, on the American visa. If you're coming here, and again, your stated purpose is that you're a tourist, then by definition, you are here to come for a few weeks, look at what we have, engage in commerce, and leave. So if you're telling a consular officer you're here as a tourist, but your true purpose and intent is to go to a baby mill, give birth, and try to mint an American citizen while you're here, then you're committing a fraud against the American government.
And yes, he actually accused people of going to what he called a baby mill and trying to mint an American citizen. An American who, by the way, would then be required to pay tax to Uncle Sam on his or her worldwide income for the rest of their lives. No ifs or buts. So even in those rare cases where birth tourism may be happening, it's not exactly a one-way street. Spooked by the fact that they can't solve a war in Iran that they now regret starting, they have moved into full dictatorial mode. So you might think the Democrats would be capitalizing on all of this in order to cement a possible landslide in November. But on the other side of the aisle, they continue to tear each other apart.
We took on a machine. You're not supposed to be able to beat $70 million of outside spending. A record amount of money spent in a campaign against a Democrat in a primary in any campaign. You're not supposed to be able to beat that.
But this week in Michigan, Abdul El-Sayed did beat that kind of money, and it was being spent against him by another Democrat in a bid to become the party's Senate candidate in the state. Mr. El-Sayed is the latest left-wing progressive Democrat to upend the hopes of the party's centrist grandees, eking out a narrow victory despite tens of millions of dollars poured into the race in an effort to stop him. That money came from AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, in a desperate bid to derail Mr. El-Sayed, a vigorous critic of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his war on Gaza. It did not work, and as the left once again asserted its claim to the leadership of the Democratic Party, President Trump was ready to pounce.
This guy hates Jews. Somebody said, oh, that's a little strong. No, he hates Jews and he hates Israel. Abdul El-Sayed. Can you believe this? This could only happen to me. Abdul El-Sayed, lovely gentleman. He's a man of hate. And now he's going around saying, no, I love everybody. He doesn't love everybody. Put him in office. You're going to find out what he loves.
We are going to spend the next 3 months watching President Trump and the Republican candidate in Michigan, Mike Rogers, deliberately mangling Mr. El-Sayed's name in an effort to race bait. And the new darling of the left knows it's coming.
You know, they think that you want to use my whole name against me. Mike, listen, man, if you can't say the name, it's Abdurrahman, keep the name out your damn mouth.
What's in a name, you might be asking? Well, quite a lot for some American voters. In Las Vegas this week, Governor Guy Lombardo, a Republican, made an opening speech to welcome President Trump to the city and asked for a moment of silence for a Las Vegas police officer who had been killed in the line of duty just 24 hours earlier.
I know Pastor Tice spoke about Officer Abdul Nabi a few moments ago. No, we're not booing him. He's the officer that passed away here recently. So, and I asked if we had a moment of silence, and he said we had not. So I would like your indulgence for a moment of silence for Officer Austin. Thank you.
They got there in the end. Unleash the genie, Ben. Reap the whirlwind.
Simon, thank you. Simon Marks there with his American Week.